Good morning. So, not much has changed. I guess a little bit. I talked yesterday about things that were setting up, and one of the things that happened that I spoke about yesterday was the potential for a break under this low to become a breakdown failure. That absolutely did happen. So, does that mean we're totally out of the woods as far as creating a bottom here? Well, it's gone a long way, for sure. The other thing I spoke about was this congestion that was to the left. And so the depth of retracement here is positive. This 180 bullish reversal is positive. That occurred up at the top. That's the kind of price action that you want to see when you get a deep retracement up into resistance. So now can it get up here? Well, we'll see. This is where I say the heavy lifting starts. And nothing too much has changed here on the weekly time frame, and that maybe this is coming into a congestion that can go higher. In any event, look, the depth of this pullback and this bottoming tail bar says think long side. The setup in of itself is questionable as to how far it'll get. But anyway, it's just a bit of a tricky pattern here right now, but it's not the cleanest because of the way it came down in the congestion, but this is what we got to trade at the moment. You can see the way it's going up here on the 5, there's like these highs are so close together, and as are the lows, and now it's starting to go sideways before the open. So I think tricky is going to be what this is going to be. And one of the things I said yesterday was ideally that this, yesterday I said that this day today would be one in which it was more sideways kind of price action. And that still would be the ideal scenario. My explanation yesterday to you, so you understand why I said that. When Dan and I explain things, it's so that you understand things and that you can take that education into the future with you to make money. So these congestion areas and this congestion area, this one now that's been dealt with by trading below and back up above. But any event, let's assume this starts to go up. Well, from an intraday trading point of view, we could take advantage of that. That's a decent size area if it can get all the way up there. I'm not so sure it can. A lot of times these things stop in the middle. But in any event, the idea is if it could stay in here, for another day, wait till next week, and getting further away from this just by going sideways just opens up the possibility of a greater move where this becomes less of a what I'd call a potent reference point to be dealt with. And this pattern, we did the MT live this week on that head and shoulders bottom, could become something more like that as an intraday head and shoulders bottom. And with a larger pattern, that opens up the door to a bigger move. That's why, we see those larger patterns. We like them because the bigger moves. And when I see a pattern like this on the daily time frame that begins to bottom out, and it did exactly where we talked about at the beginning of the week where that might happen, as this gets a little larger, right, it opens up the door historically to bigger moves. So that's what I'm looking for today. If it pops up above here, I guess I'll certainly look for a long to play that. Now, SPX, it's Friday, should be a no-brainer under yesterday's low. Right? With a bar like that takes out those lows and springs back up again, this had better not go back down there today. And it's not gapping down, right? It's up a little bit, so that's okay. But not only based on just SPX, for a put spread. But the further you can get below here with premium, obviously the better. You've got yesterday's low, you've got 3,400. So anything below 3,400 should be, a good trade, to keep that money at the end of the day. But point being, if this gets negated, sure, it could be part of that basing that I talked about. We'd see what would happen Monday, but you don't want to see a bar like this getting negated. Since it took out the lows and it came back up again, buyers, in a sense, I'm explaining the pattern. Buyers, in a sense, took a big risk yesterday. Maybe they didn't perceive it as a risk, but the point is that it broke down under these lows, which opened up the door to continue to go lower. And buyers stepped up and said, you know what? I'm so confident that it isn't going down here that I'm stepping up right on that break. And they're going to defend that. And they did, and they drove it back up again. And that pattern suggests it's going to go higher. So it should not fail. But it doesn't mean it cannot have another day of going sideways, which would be great to get away from some of this congestion in any event. Looking at SPX, I think below yesterday's low is a safe zone. And, with credit spreads, especially SPX, I wanted something that I perceive to be a sure thing. And so I would perceive a sure thing being above the high of the top of the big red bar and 3,500. That's probably too far away for to get some premium, I would think. But if this begins to rally in the morning, that could become something that has premium. I don't know. Let's see what McGraw has for us here. 34.05, 33.80, 40 cents. All right. 34.05. That's good. 34.05, sure. 35.15 has premium. There you go. And those of you on YouTube, I mentioned yesterday, I don't know what's going on over there. If any of you have any knowledge on YouTube settings, I don't know what changed, but the chat is disabled. Email me and let me know where to go look. I'll Google it, greg@mastertrader.com, so I can get that chat fixed again in YouTube. I've looked a couple of times and I can't figure it out. We'll eventually get to it. All right, let's see where the Qs are. 35.20 has premium. There you go. I like that. Now, this is more along the lines of the pattern that I'm talking about, where, this is a live bar, of course, but if it was complete, the end of the day, this is kind of the pattern where it's come down. It's kind of an erratic, way of coming down. It breaks below the low and it comes back up again, and then it goes sideways. And so you see that the breakdown on the hourly time frame, and now it comes back up and getting, several hours going sideways like that. You can see the concept of, it's going sideways, whatever the pattern's going to look like. But it's ideally it stays, up here. If it drops down, it gets a bottoming tail bar and it is able to close back up here again. And it moves away from this. So the correction through time, which builds this support area, is what I call a launching pad. Because as this all builds, that demand that created this pattern is just that launching pad, where as it breaks out, you have this, and all of these patterns relate to the psychology of the participants. They're going to look for this to continue to move higher. Some are going to add, right? Maybe as it pulls back, they're going to add. And, that's where you get the, the ebb and flow of a trend that as it begins to move up. And the daily pattern being what it is suggests that it, at that point, it would have the potential to come up here. So this is how we assess the potential of a pattern to say, well, look, I know that there's tails here and this high here and all of that. But as this pattern develops, whether it was, let's say it just started to move up from this bar. This didn't happen, the shakeout. Well, that's going to have less potential in my mind, based on historical patterns, to get through here because it's so close to the left. Whereas spending time sideways here, building up the base historically, increases the probability of a bigger move. So all of this is common sense once you begin to understand the price patterns and the thought processes behind that, all of that. So that's why we offer it. We try to offer a little education every day about price patterns here on YouTube and, of course, in the green room. All right, so this is basically going nowhere. A little bit of relative weakness compared to the S&P for now. But if it hangs around here, it may be the one that brings up the rear. YM. You can see the depth of retracement there. And you can see the congestion that's over here. It's just a sloppy mess on the hourly time frame. So again, I'll repeat, some sideways movement here would go a long way to getting a bigger move. And look, just because this came up that far, hey, if this turn, went back down under the opening price, that would be a short-term negative, little, not that much so, because we measure how bad is a particular day as far as doing damage to the prior day. Well, how far does it move into the prior day's range, and how far does it close into it? So even if we were to get a close down here, that would not be that unusual, and it would still be sideways within here. And if this was able to open up higher on Monday above that red bar, we're off to the races, folks. So today, I'm not so sure. We got messes up above. It's up at resistance here. Nothing I see that jumps out at me is, hey, here's an opportunity. We'll see how it shapes up. I've talked about the fact that the Russell had a better pattern, the way it's come down, but even though it's some kind of slop and now it's up into the resistance. So everything we see here is suggesting that probably today isn't going to do a whole heck of a lot, but we'll see how it unfolds. Bonds down there to that target. They finally got down there. Now the big question is, does it break down through it? Right. So we've got, you can see interest rates have moved up here above those highs where they're bottoming out here. So this is a good thing. Right? Talk about all this coronavirus and the economy and all of that. So when there is a belief that grows that the bad time for the economy and all of that is near its end, longer term interest rates begin to increase. So this is something to keep an eye on. And, so we'll see what happens when it gets up there to $18. And you have the 10-year. You can see it's pretty darn close there. So markets might get a little nervous if this actually starts to perk up toward these higher levels there, which will be a positive long term, but it may play some havoc with the markets in the short term. And gold, still slopping around. It's got to get through this high here. Hasn't been able to do it. Still just hanging there. As you can see on the weekly, I talked about this being a potential shakeout. And that's what I said when I first saw that breakdown, which was like, okay, that's a nasty bar, but the long-term trends are up. If these long-term trends are going to take hold, this will result in a downside shakeout. And the depth of retracement into that red bar support that, but it's got to get above here. Right? Ultimately, it's got to get above. So we'll see how it plays out. Okay. I always like to look at the transports, which still look good. You know, they're going sideways up there. So market's just correcting here, maybe waiting for this election to be over, which isn't that far away. What do we got here? Another week and a couple of days before the big day. So we'll see what next week brings. And of course, today. And that's it for me. All yours, Dan.
All right, good morning. Ron's asking, when are we going to enter the SPY? The answer is, I don't know. But it's a tier 1 setup, and so I guess we'll watch it at the open. It might be 5 minutes, might be 10, might be 30, I don't know. But I will be here to tell you. All our opens are fine. Any questions, ask me. We saw a naked put on Hasbro yesterday, and it's having a nice gap up here, I guess, with Mattel had earnings. So on the back of that, I'm guessing. Let's just go through my big list here. Ruth, we found this yesterday when we were scanning the junk sector, which I'm calling, you know, airlines, cruise ships, restaurants, leisure, casinos. But nice wide range bar yesterday. That's McGraw. We got a lot of put spread ideas. Let's see if there's any juice on that, but it's also a directional watch. Starbucks here. I like the retest on the 20. That's a put spread candidate. F-Sly, nasty gap the other day, and look at it. It's just grinding lower. That looks ugly. Zedge, never heard of this thing, but I saw it pop in here pre-market. I don't know. This looks like Greg's heart machine. I don't like those. It's EKG. Cliff Clavin had a bearish gap. Now it's rallying, but no pattern. Yeah, commodities have been ripping. Look at this FCX. Look at that, $6 to 18 this year. That monthly is straight up. STRT, the gap's too big. I would have loved this if it was a gap to the low 24s. And then my target would have been 27. So it's all, you know, when something moves too much, it's eating into my target. So I don't like it. ITW had earnings 207. Okay, here you go. This one's gapping over all this. That's a definite watch. Let me put it in another screen. ITW looks great. Oh, this Sedger here on the bottom right is still a posted trade. Over the high, didn't trigger yesterday, but it still looks fine. Look at Intel here, poor thing. Poor Intel, that's a big nasty gap. I mean, doesn't this chart tell you it has trouble? Look, starting here in March, well, that fell with Corona, but then this one was earnings, July. It's been dead money other than, yeah, geez, it got some bottom fishers, and now it's dead money again. So Intel used to be the absolute leader in the semi space. Disney day trade, maybe. Let's see how it sets up. And that's also a put spread candidate. We actually sold a put spread on this green day, and then the market went into a tantrum, and look at that, just barely stopped us out. But that's a put spread idea. Again, McGraw for next week. Cliff. Yeah, over yesterday's high. Sure, it's holding well. We're still in a put spread, but yeah, I like it directionally over yesterday's high. I'll put it there. Man H. Big bar yesterday. It says it's gapping down $9, but I don't see any prints. We'll come back to it. 487, nasty gap on this thing, but no pattern. NXGN. It looks like it's opening flat. I mean, it's not bad, but it kind of looks like I'd get bored watching it. AMD. This thing gapping down 77. That's garbage. AMD. Saber, Rich. Yeah, that's in the travel industry, I think. Saber. I like the monthly retest on Saber. It's time to go bottom fishing again. There were a lot of wide range bars yesterday. It's just you need big stops now if you're entering after that big bar. Albion, inside day. I personally don't like even 1, 2, 3s that have that much air below. I wouldn't mind day trading it if I had a compelling pattern. But compare Algent, not SKT. Was it SKX? No, there was one SK something or other that had a very bullish consolidation in a big bar. I forget what it was. CRSR SXT. Thanks, Dave. McGraw. zero. I have zero idea what you want me to do with that, unless you say sell out of money call spread, and then I'd say sure. Mara, it's gapping down. It's far from the 20. I don't know what to do with that, Khaled. SNV, yeah, that was nice yesterday. Kind of as a pseudo 1, 2, 3, but yesterday was your entry. Today you're chasing. Hey, Dave, your drop down. Yeah, this one. See, so when you had this wide range bar far from the 20, it went sideways for 3 days. So that then I like. And people in the green room some were buying this over Wednesday's high. Envo, yeah, that's on my list. I sent out a telegram with a big watch list of bullish trades. Envo was on that list. Look at Corning, looks fantastic. I was going to give this as an official long, but earnings are Tuesday. Honeywell looks great, but it has earnings next week. I gave a big list. Pelletier would be a great 1, 2, 3. It's a retest twice of that IPO low. GSX. Yeah, so that's a bear 1, 2, 3. Bearish 15-minute chart. Yeah, that looks fine, Wags, for day trade. I like it. Let me put it here. Actually, I'll put them here. I have ITW in another chart. Ozark, Bank of Ozark. I'm gapping up on earnings. Civ B. Nice breakout yesterday. I mean, look, we were watching KRE. The regional banks had a stellar day yesterday. I didn't see it till later in the day, or else I would have given a 15 or 30-minute high. Cough earnings, $81, bullish gap, but to resistance. Could be a put spread idea, McGraw. USX gapping down, $8 down here. I like that GSX short better. Boom. This is a company Jake owns. Boom. I can't. Kidding, Jake. it's the my minder here says it's opening up 2:30, but I don't trust it if I don't see prints. But it's worth watching. I'll come back to it. Uber and Lyft. The Journal said they lost a court battle in California. California wants their drivers to be employees. I think both companies should pull out of California and see how the residents like that. If anyone, I'm pretty sure 99% of us have ridden in an Uber or Lyft, and so tell me how you like it. Tell me how you like it when they both leave the state. BJRI. Wide range bar. I like this one. It had earnings. I see one print down here at 33, but that looks great. I'm putting that in a window. BJRI. If it's showing it down $1, but if it opens up a little, down a little, or flat, then that looks good. All right, Mattel had earnings gapping up. We mentioned no pattern, but we're in his cousin, Hasbro. Sam, it's a buy setup on support. I can't tell where you're gapping. We'll come back to you. IBM, it got clobbered, bottoming tail far from the 20. This would be a wonderful 0 DTE candidate if there's any juice for today. Intel we know about. Guild, I guess the paper said the FDA approved one of their drugs, the first one. So they're getting a little pre-market pop. What a crazy retracement. Wow, there was an M-top. M-top with a new high plus. Wow. And then here's another M-top right there. And then here is a greater than 100% retracement. AXP. Gapping down 10 under 10. That's a bearish gap. That's what we call a bull trap. A big fat green bar trading under the low of it. Let's keep an eye on that. That might be a call spread candidate. Why? There you go. That ain't bad. It was an excessive gap earlier this morning when I looked at it, but look, now it's coming in right to minor support. So I like that. Jake, I told you yesterday I liked it. It's on my, no, you've been in it for months, but I told you yesterday I liked it when I was scanning through my interest list. Socket, I don't know what's going on there, but I got no interest with that big gap. Charlie Bravo. There's a 1, 2, 3. It's far from the 20, but it's a beautiful 15. So for day trade candidate, maybe 5-10 minute high. All right, YY is coming in hard now. Jill, Jack and Jill. Yeah, I'll put that on the list. Alex, you are so much more aggressive than I at the market open. So I like JLL, but I'm chilling right here. Let's see what happens. Nike, yeah. I mean, if I gave a put spread on Nike, well, Roger, the rule is to wait 5 minutes. But if we get filled on this one, I'm making an exception. That I think it's still fine. All right, this GSX, whoever asked me. I like this. This looks like a beautiful day trade short. All right, BJRI is failing. So, yeah, see, so I'm done with it. See, folks, I have a 2-part test on my gaps. Compelling gap, see what it does in the